Good afternoon. I'm Beth Ritter. I currently teach at NC State, and today I'm in the offices of Novareté to talk about employee engagement. With me, I have Becky Horn, Head of Marketing and Operations, and Bryttany Curran, Global Business Development Leader here at Novareté. Why don't we talk a little bit about your perspectives on engagement? Let's start there.
Employee engagement is a very hot topic in the business world right now. And when you think about employee engagement and its definition, one of the ways you can look at it is to look at what it isn't. And what it isn't is employee happiness, it isn't employee satisfaction, but engaged employees rather are employees that are engaged with the mission and values of their company. They're passionate about it. And because of that, they're willing to go above and beyond in their work effort to achieve the mission of the company. So for us as business leaders, when we think about our employees, if we can get them aligned and engaged with the values of our company, in other words, develop engaged employees, then we can create a values-based culture. And when I look at some of the quotes out there that speak to employee engagement, I think the one that I like the most is the one from Investopedia. The engaged employee cares about their work and about the performance of the company and feels that their efforts make a difference. An engaged employee is in it for more than a paycheck.
Bryttany, you had some interesting statistics that I thought it made sense to cover. Do you remember those?
I would love to share a little bit about that, for sure. There are tons of different studies out there that are trying to correlate, okay, do engaged employees, align employees, lead to higher performance? This could be defined as any KPI that you choose. It could be defined as personal performance, whatever it might be for the company. And so when you look at all these, it's a high correlation. One study that I can think of is from the Harvard Business School. This study, they took 10 years to study 200 different companies. And they found at the end of this study that there was a significant increase in performance. One that I think of off the top of my head is revenue, right? Everyone cares about revenue.
Yeah.
And the companies that had engaged employees had 4 times the increase in revenue than the companies that.
Yeah, and it passes the test of common sense too. I've seen it referred to as the ROI of employee engagement, that if you have engaged employees, that leads to reduced turnover, and of course that means reduced cost for companies, because that's expensive. But not only do you get a decrease in turnover of employees, you get an increase or a higher quality production and services from your employees. And with that higher quality of product and services, you get increased client satisfaction. And increased client satisfaction leads to an increase in sales or revenue from repeat business or from referrals. And with that increase in revenue, of course, then against the common cost structure comes an increase in profit and therefore stock price. So simply stated, companies that are based on values perform better, measurably better than those that don't.
You know, I really can relate to that. I probably got most interested in this when I was at Berts Bees, when I led the HR function at Berts Bees. And I really saw it in action there, but I think I've shared with you sometimes I didn't think I had all the right tools to do it, which is why, again, I was so excited to learn about all the offerings that Novareté had. Now, Bryttany, you're a millennial. Does this sort of resonate with you or anything different for you than maybe the average bear?
Yeah, I definitely think it does. The main thing that I've noticed with the millennial generation, whether it's from my own experiences, my friends' experiences, or what I've read, is that we like to believe in what we're doing. We want to be passionate about it. We want to go to an office that we know cares about us, that's a fun space to work in, and gets us excited, and we'll happily leave an environment that doesn't fit that. And with employee engagement, it's about taking those employees and helping them engage in the mission and the values and align that mission, that company mission, with what millennials want to do personally. So being able to have that alignment is really important, I think. And gosh, in 2020, over half the workforce is going to be millennials. And so, half the workforce is going to be thinking like we're thinking.
Well, that's definitely what I saw at Berts Bees. Again, I always share kind of a funny anecdote that there were even people who would take a pay cut to come work for us because it had all of those elements together.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad to kind of hear that it makes sense to you too.
And actually, it just made me think, I was talking with a prospect recently, and they said, one of our turnovers was because we stopped doing cornhole events. And it wasn't necessarily that cornhole is keeping them there, but it was the perception that the culture was, decreasing or was becoming more work oriented, and they couldn't identify with it, and so they left.
Wow. So it's obvious why we all want engaged employees, right? So did you have some statistics on that too, about just how well as employers were doing in that space, engaging our employees?
Well, while companies realize the importance of engagement, the problem is less than half employees are engaged. We looked at a study by MSW Research. They interviewed 1,500 employees and found out that 71% were not fully engaged. And Gallup also studies this for the U.S. workforce, and they found the same thing. 30% of the workforce is fully engaged in the mission of the company.
When you think about a company and employees that work there, if you walk down the hall and you went up to somebody and said, do you know your mission and values? Almost no one could, and then of that percentage, it's, all right, I know it, but I can't recite the definitions with that. And then of that population, how many of those can decipher the ambiguity of it? So they might know that honesty is a value that the company believes in, and it kind of means doing the right thing, but as far as what that means acted out in that next level, most people have no idea. Does that mean never tell a lie, or does that mean always speak the truth? Not sure.
And I think you're right. I do think it takes an investment on the company's part to help employees get really clear about what's important to them or not. And I find that we just don't know where to start in many cases. I've shared with you some of the experiences from my past where we without a lot of expertise tried lots of things. We even had bingo with BEE bingo to try to help people understand these different values and behaviors and the depth of them. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the tools that you do offer that are available to people?
The internet is changing everything.
Yeah.
With the current state of technology, companies that previously could not afford these types of tools that are coming on the market can afford them now because of the internet. The internet offers scale and sharing of resources that allows technology to be offered in the form of software as a service, SaaS, or in the cloud as people say. And with technology being offered in that form, then practically any company can afford it. So that's what's making the biggest difference here. And because of that, now new tools are coming out, and they're kind of falling along two camps. Some tools are coming out that are focused on alignment, getting employees aligned with the values of the company. And also, there are other tools coming out designed for engagement, employee engagement, to engage employees in all kinds of ways, like recognition and praise, or sharing of information and files, or taking surveys, or gaming and social media, but in the context of the company. So these new tools are coming out in the market, but we think that we have distinguished ourselves in this marketplace.
So Bryttany, how would you say Noverte differentiates itself?
Great question. So like Becky mentioned, you have the engagement platforms, you have the alignment platforms, but you don't have anything that really combines the two. So we wanted to take that engagement and put a purpose behind it. We do that with the values, and then we do that with adding metrics, which allow you to see some data to help with the alignment part. So you can start focusing your research, focusing your questions, focusing your time and your resources. Another way is we base a lot of our program on classical learning techniques that have withstood the test of time.
That's right, Bryttany. It's an ethics engine based on scenarios. So in addition to having the engagement and tying your engagement to values, as she was saying, engagement with a purpose, you also get every week a situation, and you're asked, what would you do? And when you're asked what would you do, it's in the context of, what would my company want me to do if I'm living out the values and mission of my company? We haven't seen anything else on the market like that puts an independent situation in front of an employee and asks them what they would do in the form of acting out the values of their company.
And I think what's unique is some of the viewers may be thinking, oh, I've seen ethics kind of programs, and it's pretty clear which one the company wants me to select. And I think what's really unique about your product is that they're 4 pretty reasonable choices, and they really do let that debate and conversation start. And even as you're looking them as a participant, I'd like to do some of that one and that one. I don't know if I would have done it exactly like this. And so it's not sort of the canned, ethical, of course I should answer this.
Right.
They all have some merit and value, and they get more into the approach you might take, the behavior you might exhibit.
Exactly.
Your willingness to exhibit courage and take on a tough conversation, and again, maybe what feels right in this culture. And so I think that's really what makes it different than other tools.
That's exactly right. And as you're working through the dilemma and determining your answer, the comments that come out of that are extremely rich. I mean, I have noticed a lot of debate around a topic, and it's made me think
Definitely.
in a larger way about the context of a question. And the reason that content is so rich is because it's anonymous. Everyone feels free to speak their mind.
And that's one of the ways that you see the engagement. One of the metrics is that how often am I answering the dilemma, or how often am I acknowledging my peers' behavior through a kudos to show you I appreciate that you did that, or that was the behavior we value, to reinforce it. I think those are some of the things that really make the tool exciting and different.
Business leaders also like that they, through use of this tool and the metrics you were just talking about, they can identify the employees that are not so engaged.
Yeah.
And it gives you ability as a business leader to focus your resources to try to nurture those that are maybe not feeling so much part of the team, and go in and help them out. So it's a great resource to help create a community and a team spirit.
Well, this has been really helpful. I appreciate you both taking some time today to give us some of your perspectives on engagement. If someone wants to learn more, do you have other resources available?
Yeah, you bet. The best place to start is the website, novareté.com. It has tons of great information, including white papers that you can download and read at your convenience. We also have the blog, which not only has a ton of great information from us, but also we invite other guest bloggers from the business community, from the academic community, to comment on their experiences. And if you want to blog, we're always open to starting a conversation about that, and we would love to have you as part of the community as well.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bryttany Curran, and I lead our global business development effort at Novareté. Thank you for joining me today to learn a little more about how Novareté engages and aligns employees with a purpose. Many studies show that an aligned organization performs better, with lower turnover and increased profit. Today, I will show you how Novareté uses engagement tools like kudos, contributions, dilemmas, and surveys, all under one platform, giving you the metrics you need to make a difference in your company's culture. Before I begin, I'll share a little about how Novareté came to be what you see today. Originally, Novareté was created as an internal culture building tool for our parent company, XS Inc. The Ethics Engine, as it was called back in the late 90s, issued out scenarios for the 3 principals and employees to discuss and debate. Based on Aristotelian ethics, these dilemmas were built on a massive framework that measured the cardinal virtues: fortitude, temperance, prudence, and justice, and their associated moral virtues. Essentially, you can think of it as a Rosetta Stone, translating your answers into measured values that you base your actions on. Today, Novareté includes not only these dilemmas, but a social platform, recognition platform, analytics, and analysis. Each facet teaches your employees using 7 classical learning techniques: curiosity, debate, repetition, interaction, anonymity, recognition, and competition. These learning techniques have withstood the test of time and are understood as the core ways in which the human mind naturally learns. Through Novareté, you are able to engage your employees and align them around your organization's core values, giving your company increased ethical behavior and performance. What you are currently looking at is the homepage. This gives your employees easy access to all the information they need, from the latest dilemma, for example, to the most recent kudo or broadcast. I'm first going to show you how Novareté engages your employees in a fun, easy way. A great place to start is with the contributions. Think of it as your company's bulletin board, but more relevant, interactive, engaging, and purposeful. As you can see, we have photos, broadcasts, quotes, collaboration, videos, resources, and our pulse check survey feature. Some of the fun contributions we've seen from our clients include fun cards like birthday and wedding announcements, and of course the funny holiday cat video. Helpful articles like exercises you can do at your desk or is standing desk actually better for you. Company-specific information like newsletters, when used computers are for sale, weather advisory, announcements, Wi-Fi passwords, and conference room phone numbers. You can also use it as a way to scale the tone at the top. Top executives can easily send out video messages to the entire organization right from their phone. We've also seen clients that have multiple locations send out reports to give more visibility to what is going on at the different locations. Employees like to contribute industry-specific information to help everyone stay up to date on the latest news. We see departments, especially the Human Resources Department, use Novareté as a tool to post important information, like when to sign up for benefits or your 401k. What is great about Novareté is the site administrator can actually mark a card as important and track who has opened it. For example, let's look up the newsletter. Denoted here by the red star, you can see that it's marked as important. And this will stay in the top left of the card deck so that it's easy to see until your employee opens it. Once you open it, you're given visibility into who read it and who hasn't, so you can see how effective you are and how people like to communicate. Hot topics, which are cards with lots of comments and likes, are marked with a flame to help managers and leaders understand what employees are talked about. So you can see that here. Not only can site administrators mark a contribution as important, but they can also add a click to acknowledge button for the employees. Whoops. Let's try that again. You can see here that I've marked this post as acknowledged in blue. We often find our clients use this feature for trainings and trackings. With all of these different options, employees can contribute in a way that they feel comfortable. This is really interesting because the generations working together need a way to express themselves, and they're all so different. To that point, we recently conducted a really interesting survey that revealed that the difference in generations. You had the baby boomers, the Gen Xers, and the millennials, and we wanted to see what they related to. We found that the baby boomers love pictures, the Gen Xers love quotes, and the millennials love kudos. It is a comfort knowing that you can reach any age group within one platform. You can see each card has a company value attached to it. So for excess, you see things like have fun and stay sharp, play fair, work hard. This is one of Novareté's differentiators. Not only are employees contributing to a community, but each contribution is tied to a value. Novareté is using repetition, one of those classical learning techniques, to continually ingrain the company values. To share a contribution, click on the contribution button in the top right, and then select the type of contribution you want to share. In this case, let's do a broadcast. First, you're going to decide who you're going to send it to. You could do individuals, groups, or the whole company. Then, give your broadcast a title. And then share what your broadcast is. You can add in links to different articles or blog posts or videos right here under the source. And then you can personalize it with the image if you want to. Otherwise, we have a default image for you. And then back to that differentiator, you get to pick the value that this post exemplifies. So let's say it's play fair. Whatever it might be, the definition will pop up here on the right, and you can read it to make sure that your post fits under the correct value. As I talked about before, you then have the ability to mark the post as important or require users to acknowledge the post. I'm going to not save it for the purpose of this demonstration. Each time an employee shares a contribution, they're given points. This plays into the competition aspect of classical learning. And boy, can I tell you, some of our clients are competitive. Your ranking is then displayed on our leaderboard, which is often used by managers and leadership to aid recognition programs and identify unengaged employees. We will look at the leaderboard a little later. The next part of the engagement is recognizing your employees for a job well done. As I mentioned before, this speaks volumes with the millennials, who will take up over half of the workforce in less than 4 years. Today, most companies that even have a recognition program often rely on episodic events, things like staff meetings or quarterly meetings. I was talking to one of our clients who, before using Novareté, only recognized their employees at the end of their year banquet. While this has great intention, somebody who did something back in February has to wait all the way until December to be recognized. Our Kudos platform wants to magnify that intention and make the process easier. It should be easy and fast to recognize a job well done. Like the contributions, each kudo is tied to a value. Again, using repetition to help employees learn and understand what your core values mean in action. Employees aren't just being thanked, they are creating a catalog and culture of ethical, value-based behaviors. Secondarily, we found a lot of our clients enjoy using the Kudos page as a reference for new hires. They encourage their new employees to read through some of the Kudos to get a better idea of what each value looks like acted out during the common workday. Additionally, the profile cards are a great place for new hires to learn about the people they work with. I know when I first started working with Noverte, I often found myself wondering who did what and what the face looked like of the coworker emailing me. The profile cards were a great place to start. They also made me feel really welcomed. This is me here. Many people would stop and ask about rock climbing, one of my hobbies. As you can see right here, it was just a great way to build rapport with people from different teams that I didn't work with on a day-to-day basis. Another huge benefit of the profile cards, besides adding your individual personality to the platform, is its ability to humanize employees across locations. One of our clients mentioned to me once that they had worked with the same person for 17 years and had no idea what that person looked like until Novareté. Increasing community engagement across locations and between remote employees has been beneficial for so many of our clients. You will notice here that some of the profile cards are groups. For example, this Christmas party planning committee. Setting up groups within Novareté is an effective way to communicate between formal groups like departments or managers and informal groups like holiday parties, wellness committees, volleyball groups, and the like. All of these great engagement benefits don't mean anything, however, if you cannot meet the employees where they are at. Having a cloud-based platform that allows employees to engage 24/7 on any device, desktop, tablet, Apple, and Android, gives them the freedom to engage when it makes sense for their schedule. Its access is ongoing, allowing leadership and managers to continually build culture through engagement and alignment in between the episodic events, meetings, and trainings. Further, for those companies that have warehouses or off-site employees, the Novareté TV is a great way to reach them. This channel broadcasts kudos, dilemmas, the comments, and also any sorts of announcements and widgets you want to add to personalize it. This is just a great way to get your message out. So we've looked at the kudos, contributions, and profiles as a way for you to engage your employees in a values-based community. Your employees now know what your company values are and have a better understanding of what they mean in action. Now it's time to align them. Undoubtedly, by simply knowing the values, you will see an increase in alignment. But there are two additional ways Novareté not only continues to engage your employees, but also aligns them. The first is through the Pulse Check survey feature. Easy to navigate, you can create surveys for anything. Like we've seen with other contributions, simply click Contribute and then select Pulse Check. And now we're going to walk through the widget. Select a new survey and name it. And then tell everyone a little bit about why they should fill it out. Next is time to add the questions. We have tons of different fields you can use, from text boxes, text areas for longer answers, drop-down boxes, check boxes, radio buttons, and a scale to rate answers on a continuum. Let's go ahead and use the radio buttons. Put in your question and then your values. And then you have the option to make the field required. Once you add all of your questions, we're going to go ahead and configure the survey. First, we're going to choose who do we want to answer it. Let's say the whole company. Except we don't want the leadership team to answer it. Next, we decide if we want to make it anonymous or not. And then who should see the results? Let's say the leadership team. The recipients can see either the results of their survey or the aggregated results plus the results of their survey. Let's just say they get to see their results only. The reviewers get to see the aggregate and the individual survey. Next, you can personalize it with an image or choose the default. And then denote when the reviewers can be notified of the results, either immediately, after a percent of the users answer the survey, after a number of users answer the survey, or on a set date. Let's say immediately. Next, choose when the survey can be responded to. And then you have the option to save the survey as a template for later. So we usually see our clients do this for things like quarterly satisfaction surveys, for example. Last, you'll be able to preview the survey and then send it off. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and close out of it without saving it. We often see our clients use Pulse Check as a way to send out quarterly reviews, satisfaction surveys, and surveys in between trainings to see what was absorbed or remembered. Another cool way we've seen Pulse Check used is to create a department-specific scenario and poll the employees on what they would do. For example, one of our clients manages lifeguards and uses Pulse Check as a way to test, train, and align their guards with real-life scenarios, i.e., what would you do if a baby falls into the deep end of a pool? The second way Novareté works to align your employees is through our dilemmas. Deeply rooted in Aristotelian ethics, our team of ethicists create scenarios that are distributed weekly to your employees. Each person reads through the dilemma and chooses the answer that best fits how they would respond, and then they submit it. Once they choose an answer, a plethora of information is made available to learn. Let's go ahead and pick one that I've already answered. You can see here that I picked A, and 25% agree with my response. You can also see the breakdown of how everybody else in the company responded. You also see these stars here. These denote what's the gold star answer, the one the company wants you to pick. You can see here that I've picked that answer. Under each answer, you're given an expert evaluation written by our team of ethicists that discuss the cardinal virtues and the moral virtues, those virtuous behaviors that play a part into that answer. Each one has one. You can then continue learning by reading the expert evaluation of the whole scenario here. Who's affected, moral elements, and of course the special circumstances. Next, you're able to discuss and debate anonymously this survey and the different answers. The value here is the employee's ability to express their thoughts without feeling like they will be judged or penalized by their manager or team. I know personally, I've learned a lot from reading the comments. For example, in this dilemma, I learned that answer A is actually illegal. So again, by serving up scenario-based dilemmas, your employees are able to tap into those classical learning techniques of ambiguity, debate, curiosity, recognition, and competition, all within answering one dilemma. Now, imagine what happens once employees answer a series of dilemmas and continue to share contributions. Not only do you build a values-based culture, but within Novareté you can measure it. Behind the scenes, Novareté is collecting data on your company's engagement and alignment. Let's first look at the leaderboard. This is visible to every employee and taps into competition. As I mentioned before, you are given points for the different ways you engage. A lot of our clients use the leaderboard as a way to structure additional recognition programs. It's a great way to see who isn't engaged and start asking the right questions. It can filter by group, let's say the whole company, and also by time period, let's say the last quarter. So for the last quarter, I can see that the least engaged people here are the Russian developers. So that makes sense. But perhaps you see a bunch of people from the same department or under the same manager. This gives you metrics to suggest maybe talking to that manager about what is going on and how they are doing. Perhaps many of the people at the bottom are new hires. Research shows that people decide within 3 weeks whether they are going to leave or stay at their new company. Having a tool like Novareté can ensure that they choose to stay, decreasing turnover. As a site administrator, you are given access to even more analytics. Similar to the leaderboard, you're able to sort by groups as well as duration. For excess, you can see that there is 91% engagement in the last 90 days. You can also see how the contributions break out. Here, 37% give kudos, and that's up 1% from the last 90 days. You can also see that 31% posted contributions. 57% responded to the dilemmas, and of that 57%, 45% discussed it. And then 91% visited the site. We measure this because we feel it's important to show, because those that visit the site, whether they contribute or not, are still learning. They're still seeing that repetition of values, and they're still reading the information that's out there. And then 63% are feeling it, which is our liking mechanism. Next, you can see how you're moving the needle on alignment. With excess, almost 45% of employees chose the gold star answer, with an additional 21% picking silver. That's pretty good. As you continue to use Novareté, it's fun to watch the needle move. The value mix is my favorite analytic. It gives a good overall picture of where your employees are focused. For example, Excess is an agricultural data company. During the summer, they are very busy, so work hard is usually prominent. Human resources then can use the value mix as an indicator to throw an ice cream social and encourage having fun during this time. During the colder months, however, have fun and stay sharp tend to stand out because they're not quite as busy. You can use the value mix to surface data so your resources are targeted and used best. That's the real takeaway with Novareté and its analytics. Time and resources are so scarce. We want to help you use them effectively. Today, we mostly see a shotgun approach, usually hosting an episodic event in hopes that it will reach and engage the employees it was meant to. However, with Novareté, you have the ability to target your limited resources and time based off of the data it provides. Last, I want to show you the VQ. This is a top-of-the-line assessment of your company. You may be familiar with the Myers-Briggs personality test for DISC analysis or others like it. These tests are based on comparative analysis chosen by the person being tested. Unfortunately, research shows that self-assessment is the least effective form of evaluation. Instead, scenario-based analysis, like our dilemmas, are preferred as they are regarded as the most reliable. Novareté offers the ability to understand what an individual, team, and company values based off scenario-based analysis. This is what we call our VQ. Not only that, but we enable our clients to compare VQs to identify misalignment. For example, let's take a look at the excess principals and the excess managers. You can see each of their individual VQs and then how they overlap in the middle. The gray area is where they align, and the color area, here, 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 and here, is where they don't. Having a decade of Novareté use has clearly worked in their favor, as they are 96% aligned. In the few areas they don't, you can see that the excess principals value leniency more than the managers. This means they are more lenient in issuing punishments. The excess managers, on the other hand, you can see they value severity more, which pretty much means they are less flexible when it comes to inflicting punishment. Clearly, this should be a topic brought up in their next meeting. It is obvious how impactful a tool like Novareté can be, especially the VQ, and the impact it can have on a company. Not only engaging employees, but embedding the purpose of ethics and values in every action will make a huge difference. Add in the ability to see what each individual and group values and how they align or don't is a game changer. So I want to thank you all for your time today, and if you have any questions or interest in learning more about Novareté, please let me know. You can email me at bcurran@novareté.com. That's BCURRAN @novareté.com. Or you can call me at 919-379-3557. Thanks again for